Hi everyone, I'm Amy Castoro, CEO of the Williams Group. We're getting an increased amount of calls from people saying, here I am working at home, the family business doors are closed, the kids are home from school, and we're finding more and more of a need to have some of these important conversations. So today, I thought it'd be a good idea to give you a framework so that you can keep the peace at home and move into some of those conversations proactively instead of letting the tensions build. We're already at a little bit heightened level of tension, and it doesn't take much for us to just go over the edge. We all react to those kinds of situations differently. Some of us might just push them under the rug until the bump in that rug gets big enough that somebody trips. Some of us might just leave the home, go for a walk, and hope that that issue goes away. Others will just fall into it and keep saying yes. Well, if you keep getting yeses, there's a good chance those yeses aren't worth very much. So today we're going to walk through this little acronym called COACH. This is why I'm wearing a hat. Thank you, Eric Williams gave me an actual NFL alumni hat here. And we're going to just use this as a way to remember how can you walk through these conversations. So C is context. First thing you want to do is set the context. For the sake of what do you want to have this conversation? It might be, let's have a conversation about how to keep the kitchen clean. Or it might be, let's have a conversation about how I see you're showing up in the family business. The next thing you want to do is talk about the outcome. By the end of that conversation, where do you want to be? So at the end of this conversation, for example, we'll have a plan on how we can make sure the kitchen stays clean. Or at the end of the conversation, we might have a better understanding of the identity that's expected if you're going to carry our name through the family business. The next one you want to look at is ask permission. This way, you're inviting them into the conversation. That's simply something that sounds like, is this a good time to have this conversation? You're enrolling them into it instead of forcing the conversation on them. If it's a nice day, I suggest you have the conversation while you're walking, shoulder to shoulder, and moving the bodies in the same direction. The next piece you want to pay attention to is the C in COACH. So this is where you're going to create the guidelines to have the conversation go better than maybe it's gone in the past. So for example, that might look something like, when I'm speaking, I'm going to ask you not to interrupt me. Or another agreement that you might want to set up is, if this conversation starts to look like it's going south, I want to be able to call time out. Another great one that says a way of contracting is for you to pause the conversation and say, can you tell me what I just said? I'd like to hear what you're hearing me say. And then finally, the last thing you want to do is hatch a plan. You want to be able to say, here are the new action items we're going to take. So for example, it might be, if you've got to run and make a sandwich and then jump on a call, that you'll clean the kitchen up within a half an hour of being in there. As far as working out the identity or who that person shows up as in the family business, it might be, I'm going to have you show up at meetings on time, or I'm going to commit to following through on all my commitments, or I'm going to make sure I make the rounds and say hello to everybody. So there you have it, guys. That's the COACH or COACH acronym to get you guys to be able to coach each other through these kinds of difficult conversations. Let's get the conversation started. Feel free to reach out to us anytime. Take care.